It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is The Focus Group with Tim Bennett.
Staunch.
And John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Welcome to The Focus Group. John Nash here with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Tim Bennett. FocusGroupRadio.com is the website we want you to visit to learn all about the show and all about the platforms we're on. And we want to thank everybody who's been listening to Unbuttoned, our Tuesday podcast. We're quite happy with everybody who's downloading that, and we're having fun doing it. So continue on that.
Continue.
Helping us out today, we have John on video in the booth, and we have Garrett. And is the booth cam gone now?
Oh, no, we still got it.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey.
See, you need that one to show the bank of technology, the buttons, the monitors, the microphones. You guys look
clear
good.
that
Oh, yeah, very sharp. Okay. So this is a real outfit. Yeah. John's fingers dance on.
John doesn't have his focus group hat on today, though.
It's a different hat on. Oh, yeah, he's switching.
There it goes. Okay. You know, the guy who made him is going to be joining us later, Brian from Admark360. There you go, boys. So they put their hats on because
their hats on. Yeah.
Brian's doing the LGBT Business
Spotlight.
I always get tongue-tied with that.
Well, you actually changed it. I noticed when you did.
Well, I don't. I may not have changed. It might just been I didn't know.
Well, I thought you just made it simpler. The Admark360 LGBT Business Spotlight.
Was it something else?
It probably used to be the Focus Group LGBT Business Spotlight, brought to you by. Yeah, so we've kind of like whoosh.
Everyone knows Brian. Hey, before we start, John, I know you got a bunch of stuff to do, but I just wanted to let people know we've been nominated for a best podcast in the LGBT category, and I'll tell you right now, it's a bit of a pain in the butt to go vote. But if you want to go vote for us, we'd appreciate it. You go to www.podcastawards.com, and we're under the LGBT fun category. And we're listed there, and there's a bunch of other shows there as well. But it's the first time we've been nominated for an award under podcast, which we don't really call this a podcast, but I guess it could be.
Well, now we are. I mean, we're live broadcast. We're coming to you now today on, for instance, Facebook Live and YouTube.
So I'll post it on the Facebook, but
please do. This is great. All right, so this is you and I always talk about this kind of thing.
What's that?
Getting on a list of best.
It'd be nice to be on a list.
So if we're LGBT fun.
Well, they have a fun and entertainment category. They have a people's choice category.
Would you then say that that Trump's Twitter feed is, what is that? Entertainment? Is that alternate reality? Is it science fiction? What category would you put that in? Because some days, all caps, screaming at world leaders, or
well, now he's got the Iranians screaming back, which I think is even funnier because the Iranian regime doesn't allow Twitter or Facebook.
Block,
I guess blocked, but I guess all animals are equal. Some are more equal than others, and the Orwellian or the tyrannical Iranian regime, you can use it.
I'm not sure how the tariffs are going. So I mean, I know that soybeans are being affected and stuff, but one thing that's not been affected by the tariffs is these little scams, that the Amazon stuff, that people get things in the mail that they don't ask for.
What is that? A little latte?
We came home from the weekend, and in the mailbox there was this little bag, and it was addressed to Bob, and we open it up, and it's one of these stress things, the squeeze thing.
Is that a straw coming out of it?
Yes, it's called the Lucio Squeezy. It's like a coffee squeezy. So I'm wondering, and here's the thing.
It's interesting color pink. Oh, I like the way it feels, though.
It's a weird. It doesn't.
I read about this though, because when you brought something else in that he had,
the lipstick vibrator.
He must be a frequent shopper or something.
Yeah, he is.
Apparently, Amazon they said something that they've targeted X amount of thousands of people that are shoppers that they think could be influencers, I guess, and they send out these gifts to people in the hopes that you're doing exactly what you're doing right now. I'm not sure I would buy that.
No,
but it's nice to get a gift in the mail.
It's nice to get a gift in the mail. Hey, when I was a kid, I loved getting stuff in the mail. But I wonder
what that would cost.
Usually, well, I was going to, when Brian's on, he'll probably tell us it's 2 cents. But but I used to only get stuff in the mail when I sent in enough box tops. Like I got my Tony the Tiger It was this. Remember, it was this thing for the handlebars on the bike. It had a little crank, and it would go "Rrrr," and you had to send in. I think it was 10 frosted flakes. Yeah, there's a lot of cereal. It was weeks.
I don't think we ever did that. I don't think we were.
Took us 2 or 3 months to collect the box because we were not allowed to have that cereal. We maybe had frosted flakes once a month, twice a month, maybe something like that.
My dad still eats those Sugar Smacks things.
Does he really?
Yeah, he's 80.
Let him eat Sugar Smacks. Eat away.
Well, I see you got this, a listener sent us something. What do you have over there?
All right. The other thing, last week when we came in to do the show, we got a box. Garrett gave us a package, and it was from one of our listeners in Texas. Who also had sent us the previous Oreos that we tested out, and he sent 3 Oreo flavors. So
and we say he because he does not sign, or she does not sign their name.
I like it. It's a little bit of a mystery.
It's a mystery, whoever it is. So thank you, mystery Texas listener.
Yeah, it's and it's all the best. Your Fort Worth fan. Fort Worth, Texas.
Yeah, right out of Texas, right out of Dallas area.
So
Fort Worth,
Texas. The first one, the Fort Worth fan. That's
Fort Worth fan.
Is
FWF.
chocolate peanut butter pie. Graham flavored cookie, peanut butter and chocolate flavor. So
that'd be good with ice cold milk, I bet.
I asked you before coming. I said, should I buy some milk?
To us. Didn't he talk to us about bringing milk in, boys?
Yeah, a gallon each, pretty much, he said.
I said, should I go to Dwayne Reed and pick up some milk on the way in?
You should have done it before that, John. You should have done it yesterday.
It was stood for hours.
Not yesterday. You could have done it yesterday and had it brought it down.
Totally, I'm being totally scammed. That's okay.
Is there any milk in the refrigerator, boys? I don't think so.
I don't know. I'll take a look.
No, you don't have
it's okay.
to.
It's okay. All right. So you guys all have cookies in there too, right? So we're gonna say, yep. It's the big one.
What was in these?
I gave them each cookies in the booth.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
Boy,
the whole sleeve gone.
He is on today.
There's our Oreologist. Or is it Oreologist or Oreologist?
No, he's an Oreographer.
Yeah, Oreographer.
I thought he was an Oreologist.
Okay, what do we think, guys?
This is the chocolate
pie.
peanut butter pie.
Well, it certainly tastes like chocolate peanut butter. And with the graham cracker cookie, yeah, it's pie-like.
Tastes a little Girl Scout cookie.
That's what I was going to say, Girl Scout cookie.
Doesn't it?
The peanut butter one, yeah.
Delicious. I really like it.
I like those. These are good.
All right,
this would be great with milk, wouldn't it, Garrett?
Would.
Yes, it would. It stuck in my tongue.
I like the coughing, yeah, because we're gagging in the booth, right? All right, so we like this flavor.
We like it.
Chocolate peanut butter.
We did not like the strawberry, though. No, somebody did.
No, Garrett loved
like it.
I laughed so hard
it was too artificial for me.
When I listened to Garrett on that, I was listening to that show that one came on, and he goes, it's anything artificially flavored strawberry he's in on, and I thought that was really funny. All right, this next one, you guys have already sampled. Do they make this in anything but the thin version?
No, I've only seen it in the thin, and I think we tried those about a month ago, but it is my favorite Oreo.
So our Fort Worth fan sent us Oreo Thins, and these are pistachio. Now,
You haven't tried it? I thought you did.
I have not. And
Did we try them on the show?
I don't remember.
I brought them in. These are my favorite Oreo right now. And I wouldn't think they would be, but I love pistachio ice cream. I served this, by the way. I put these in the freezer.
Oh.
And I guessed over and did a couple scoops of Ben & Jerry's vanilla ice cream or Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream. Put a couple of these on top, like $1 million. Like
Garrett, what do you think? You like the pistachio?
Not a big fan of the pistachio flavor.
I like this.
I like pistachios, but
not the flavor. Garrett knows. He's an Oreographer.
Like almond flavor too. It has that weird
Yeah,
you need to have a couple.
Aftertaste, yeah.
And let them. You need to put 2 in your mouth and let it mold.
I was just glad this wasn't mint. This looked like mint.
Yeah, because of the green frosting. But I love the thins.
I do too.
Yeah,
the thins are problematic because you have more of them.
Right.
Yeah, Bob used to buy. Well, Bob stopped buying them, but he used to get the family pack of the Oreo Thins, the mint flavor. And by the end of a weekend, they were all gone. I'm like, who had the family pack?
I'm disappointed that Garrett doesn't like those. John, did you like it?
Yeah, actually, I really like it.
You like pistachio. Okay, so everybody likes the chocolate peanut butter pie, official name. I like the Oreo Thin pistachio. So does Tim. John does. Garrett's not so cool on that.
I'm upset with Garrett on this.
And then these he also sent, and they're a little melted.
Melted?
They're stuck together because they were in this bag. These are Thin Bites. Thins Bite. That's a weird. Oreo Thins Bites. Fudge dipped coconut cream. So I put some on your little stuff in there. You'll see what I mean, Tim. These are a little messy.
Are they just a regular Oreo?
Well, I can't really tell because they're sort of stuck together. These are, I call this innocuous. Like, I'm not sure which way this...
So this is problematic, because if you're at the grocery store, and particularly in Texas, I would think these would melt in the bag.
In the truck, right?
This is a bad idea, Oreo. Mondelez. Oh, they're coconut. Mm-hmm. I love coconut. I can't get one. Is that it?
I'm not... I'm going to have to say, I don't mean to be a cringe... You know, I like most things, but these are just kind of like, I'm 50-50.
Yeah. I'd eat them.
Yeah, a little too sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Garrett, you said exactly the right thing.
You're
Thank
exactly
you.
right. They're a little too sweet.
I'd eat them. Garrett was like, I'd eat them,
I
but...
love coconut.
Yeah.
Pistachio is my favorite.
So thank you, Fort Worth. All right, so to recap, we liked the chocolate peanut butter pie flavor. Most of us liked pistachio thins,
Excuse me.
which I've only seen in thin flavor, but I've never seen the pistachios in anything but the thins, right? And then these are kind of like, as Garrett said, I'd eat them.
Give them to the kids.
Give them to the kids. Okay. So thank you. We like when you guys send us this kind of stuff because we're known for the Oreo taste test.
We've
right?
sold more Oreos than Volkswagens, I think. From a pure dollar level. When we did our last big survey, the amount of people who went out and tried the Oreos along with us was unbelievable.
All right. So we have Brian coming on later, and he's going to be doing the Admark360 LGBT Business Spotlight. In the meantime, you're stuck with us doing our banter. And, Mr. Bennett, what caught your eye this week?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
So this came from Time Magazine.
Does that mean it's good or bad?
Well, I think it's good. It says, and it caught my eye because back in our old format, this would have certainly have been a Tim's list because it's the top 10 products that would indicate that you're probably wealthy. So if you have these 10 products in your home or use these 10 products, there's a study that was done in Chicago at the University of Chicago, and they said they consistently correlate purchasers' wealth with the use of these 10 products. And they talked to over 6,000 Americans, looked at their consumer buying habits, and came up with the top 10 products that would most indicate whether you were in the lowest income quartile or the highest income quartile.
These are, and just to interrupt, product is not necessarily the brand. Or is brand tied into it too? Okay.
Brand. So for instance, in 1992, if anybody wants to take a guess, I would have never guessed this, but the number one product that would indicate your wealth in 1992, anybody want to take a guess? It was a condiment.
I guess a soy sauce.
Grey Poupon.
You got it.
Oh, Garrett. Nicely done.
I just thought about that time and what the
Garrett's taking
stupid
night
guy in the
classes.
car.
Yeah, Garrett, on the ball, man.
2004, this one surprised me. Land O'Lakes butter.
Really?
2004, I mean, that's been around forever. And Kikkoman soy sauce, which is on the list this go-round, has been the only product that's remained in the top 10 for the last 30 years, last 3 decades.
Kikkoman soy sauce.
Soy sauce, right. So they went through the list, and I'll go down from 10 to 1 pretty quick here. But so the likelihood, researchers said that they could guess your income quartile based upon your use of these products. And if you have any of these 10, you're probably in a high-income bracket. First one, Ziploc plastic bags.
Is that reverse, or you're doing reverse?
I'm doing
order?
10 to 1.
10 to 1. Okay, so Ziploc. Okay.
Ziploc plastic bags. Before I get down to number 1, anybody want to guess what number 1 is? Indication of wealth?
Well,
Any guesses?
I wonder if nowadays if it's just technology, or is it food?
It's technology.
The iPad.
Apple.
You're both around it. The phone, the iPhone.
The iPhone. Man.
They said they have 70% accuracy that if you have an iPhone that you're probably wealthier than average. But anyway, Ziploc bags, Cascade Complete dishwasher detergent, number 9, a Samsung TV at number 8, which I was surprised about, using AT&T cellular network, number 6, an HP printer or fax, number 5, we talked about the Kikkoman soy sauce, number 4, an Android phone. So my thought was, maybe I'm just naive, but if don't you either have an Android or an iPhone?
You're either in the iOS or the Android camp in terms of the operating system.
Or something.
Well, Android could be any manufacturer of phone that just takes the license.
Use of Verizon Wireless, number 3. Number 2, an iPad, and number 1, an iPhone at 70% or 69%.
So that's interesting that it's iPhone, Verizon, iPad are the top three.
Top three. So it's number one's iPhone, number two is iPad, number three is Verizon, 4 Android, 5 Kikkoman, 6 an HP printer, 7 AT&T cellular, 8 Samsung TV, 9 Cascade dishwasher detergent, and 10 Ziploc bags.
There was just an interesting article I read in, it might have been Variety or Hollywood Reporter, that Verizon's choosing to partner with Apple when it comes to unique online content. And I wonder if there's a reason. So that particular cell carrier goes to the top. Yeah. AT&T was further down, right? Maybe they're, that's a good one. That would have been a fun Tim's. That would have been a total Tim's list had we been on.
So I saw that and I laughed and I said, well, that, and I thought it was interesting as well. So that's what caught my eye.
Well, mine is totally opposite.
Always is.
The first one that caught my eye actually comes from my mom, who says hello.
Oh, your mom did this one?
This caught my mom's eye, and she
Hi, Carol.
She said, this probably will catch your eye too. I'm like, okay. A heroic cow escapes a trip to the slaughterhouse and hides in a Dutch forest for weeks. So a cow named Hermione has captured the hearts of freedom lovers everywhere because on her way to the slaughterhouse, she escaped and hoofed it, into the woods where she has been hiding out since December.
Good for her.
Only comes out at night, and she's understandably not very trusting of humans. But social media has now gone crazy with this cow. She's been running, around the last 5 or 6 weeks. You can count on if you see her, she'll be apprehensive. You can't approach her.
Oh.
So the Pieter van Vollenhoven.
Oh my God.
I
don't know why you do this.
Pieter van Vollenhoven.
Why don't you just say a Dutchman?
It's language, dude. Well, he's the son-in-law of former Queen Beatrix.
So why don't you just say someone from Holland says?
Some extended member of the royal family. He tweeted, because that's what you do now. We've got to save Hermione. Let's all buy her together and give her freedom. So they raised a bunch of money, and there's a not-for-profit that's designed to shelter cows. I've never heard of this in my life. It's called De Leemwag. And that's the name of it. And the shelter is entirely dependent on donations and adopts and looks after cows from the Netherlands that have escaped from slaughterhouses, cows that have been neglected or, for whatever reason, have nowhere else to go. Ding dong. Ooh, I have nowhere to go. Oh, you need to go to De Leemweg.
I think it's great that she escaped the slaughterhouse, don't you? I think she should have a new lease on life.
And she's going to have a permanent home at this place for the rest of her years, and she's now she's trending. Hermione's trending.
I love hamburgers and stuff, but sometimes when I look at these cows and things, I wonder whether we should be
vegetarians. And that's like pigs are like...
Richard announced, by the way, 2019 he's going to be a vegetarian.
Oh, I guess he's doing a ramp up?
Ramping up, and I've got to figure out what to make other than salads.
There's plenty of things, but it gets,
boring.
The other one's a quickie. I had no idea that ABC brought the Gong Show back.
Yeah.
Okay. So we
nothing like you would remember.
No. Well, we tune in, and
you did watch.
We watched because we were fascinated by the host of the Gong Show, which seemed to be someone in prosthetics, like in makeup. And halfway through the show, Bob says to me, he goes, "Who does that remind you of?" I said, "Well, it reminds me of Mike Myers." I go Google it, and it turns out that yes, indeed, Mike Myers did return to TV, and he's portraying this host, what's his name, Tommy Maitland. And for the first part of the Gong Show, when they brought it back, ABC told no one that it was Mike Myers. They were all tight-lipped, and he was in makeup. They even created a fake bio for him, as if he lived. And here, you're going to love the bio. Some choice excerpts from Maitland, the fake MC bio. He was in movies. Two of the 4 were spaghetti westerns where he played the fastidious banker. And the other 2 were James Bond knockoffs. You Only Live Once, To Be Honest, and From Russia, Love, Kamala. This is my favorite. In the 80s, Tommy hosted the British game show Tell You What, a charades-based adventure game. He later hosted an Australian game show called Dingo's Got the Baby, in which one contestant would be the dingo and another baby, and a chase would ensue. The dingo's got my baby. The minute I read that,
so you knew that was fake.
The production company that does Gong Show is headed by Will Arnett, and he worked with Mike Myers to pull this off. And in his Tommy Maitland guise, he said. Tommy Maitland says, they came to ask me about being on the show, and I said, I'm retired. And then Will Arnett said, you're going to make a lot of money. He goes, okay, Now I'm no longer retired. I'm going to be rich or something. So they did interview Mike Myers a few months ago. He did bring up the fact that he'd wanted to do this. Huh. And he said the Gong Show was always a deconstructed non-show. You know, it was mayhem on TV, right? All the celebrity hosts would fall off their chairs laughing. Someone would hit the gong. Someone came out as the baby, or the comedian. Gene, the dancing machine.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite.
So we used to. So I just got a kick out of that because I thought, you know, if you watched it at all and you saw Mike Myers' antics, you're like, okay, he's pulling.
That's funny because I clicked through and I saw it. I didn't know that was Mike Myers, so that's funny.
Really?
But I watched it and I thought. I had again the vision that it's like trying to do Match Game again or trying to do
doesn't work
the Pyramid again without Dick Clark or some of those shows. I think it's tough to replicate them because that's what we grew up with and that's what we want to remember.
We watched, but I felt like I was watching a shadow. That's a shadow of something. The original one was just too funny. Yeah.
Well, that was a good one. Business birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
Do you know who Ludwig Emanuel Nobel is?
Possibly the person who created the Nobel Prize?
No, but close.
Okay, I've been totally spunked on them because
born in Stockholm, his birthday would actually be this Friday, but he was born July 27th, which is this Friday. But if you're time shifting, it's July 27th. He was born in Sweden in 1831. He died in Cannes at 56 years old in 1888. He was one of the most prominent members of the Nobel family. He was the son of Emmanuel Nobel, who was an engineering pioneer, and the older brother of Alfred Nobel, who was the founder of the Nobel Peace Prize.
All right, so it's all in the family.
All in the family, but he's most famous for essentially...
Tramp steamers.
No, inventing the oil tanker and also the oil industry, the modern day oil industry, essentially. So he and his brother Robert operated Branabel, which was an oil company in Baku, Azerbaijan, and at one point produced 50% of all the world's oil. I never knew any of this. He was credited with creating the Russian oil industry. He also built the largest fortune of any person at the time. He was one of the richest men in the world. And following the Bolshevik Revolution, of course, the communists confiscated all the family's money. When he was 28 years old, his father had an armaments business. And after the Crimean War, it was going to go into bankruptcy, so he gave it to the kids. The creditors gave the business to the kids. So at the time, Ludwig started his own little machine factory building chilled cast iron shells and gun carriages for the Russians. Because he thought, well, I'm going to try to do something else with metals or whatever. So while he was running a factory in St. Petersburg, he got the largest contract ever to make rifles have ridges. Yeah. Potato chips. Rifles for the Russian military, and they needed walnut stock. So he sent his brother to the Caucasus to go get walnut wood. So he gave his brother 25,000 rubles to go buy wood to build these guns. His brother Robert ended up buying a oil refinery that he found along the way. So Ludwig said, what do you mean you bought an oil refinery?
I love the way you make it sound like he tripped over the refinery and just decided to build it. He found it along the way.
Well, what I always love about these stories is he went there to go get walnut to fulfill this gun order for their manufacturing plant, and ends up, well, I'm going to take the money instead and buy a refinery, which reminded me a little bit of the Subaru story where Malcolm Bricklin and Harvey Lamb go to Japan to buy scooters and come back with Subaru cars, which
much different than a four-wheeled vehicle instead of a two.
Right, so he ends up creating, which was the largest at the time, as I said, 50% of the world's oil, this oil company, Branabel in Azerbaijan. He invented the oil tanker. He invented better refineries, better pipelines. Prior to this time, the United States was Russia's teacher in all aspects of the oil business, but the Russians then leaped ahead with because of Nobel. There were dozens of scientists that he employed to try to find new ways for us to use oil.
Wow.
Other ways to use oil, so that was the big thing.
Petroleum-based products. Yep, interesting.
So his brother ended up then doing the Nobel Peace Prize. Their very first oil tanker they made was a Zoroaster, which is what you saw here. He decided he didn't want to patent any of it because he thought it should be used worldwide. And the United States actually copied the design after his death for the oil tanker. The one cool thing about him, if you're watching online and you see the pictures, The town of Baku, Azerbaijan, he was way ahead of his time, and he was really a big proponent of humanitarian rights and workers' rights. And he set up parks, he set up dining rooms, billiard rooms, libraries, city parks, all kinds of things for the workers of the refinery. And some of the parks are still in existence today. And this is pictures of some of them in Azerbaijan that are still in existence because of what they did in the late 1880s. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Not only clever, but also philanthropic. And that seems to be a theme with some of these industrialists of the day, right?
Yeah, they said he set up hospitals and parks and health.
That's an interesting thing because that goes hand in hand with many, many years ago. It was always thought that the landed gentry or the aristocracy were meant to do that. They were meant to look after the common man and the worker and to set up, cultural things or hospitals, whatever, instead of just hoarding the money.
No, it's good when people
good
take
business
their money
birthday,
and
use
it for good.
I was tricked there because I thought, hey, he came from the Nobel family.
No, the family did use his older brother did start the prize based upon the money after the Russians took it all. What a little they can get out to Sweden.
Russia's just a gas station.
Who
said that? McCain?
McCain. Yeah. That's when he wasn't allowed to travel. They banned him or whatever.
Banned him from traveling.
So I guess we'll have to change our summer plans. No vacation to Moscow.
His big vacation was, he's going to go out to St. Petersburg or something. As many of you know, Deep Discount is a partner of ours here on the Focus Group. They've been with us for quite a while now. We like working with them a great deal. Lots of sales going on, folks. And as a matter of fact, as we get closer to August, I'll just tease the fact that I think there might be a special coupon code coming down the road. So
when?
That could be August. It's around the corner. We're like literally days away. But for now, we're in the month of July, and there's a bunch of sales going on. We decided to focus on 2 sales this week because I picked one and I started going through it, and I thought that it might be a challenge for Tim to find something from that category, so we picked another one, and you came shining through.
I did browse your category.
And you found tumbleweed going by, right? So the first category I want to focus on is Comic-Con, which actually just wrapped up in San Diego. And in the Comic-Con section, you'll find a great deal of anime and science fiction titles. I actually focused on a movie I would like to see. I read about it when it came out. It's by the director Makoto Shinkai, and it's called 5 centimeters per second. It's a beautiful 72-minute movie about 2 friends that have known each other since childhood, and it follows their reunion journey. So they've separated and they're now going to get together, and it's 3 almost separate stories that tie them together at the end. The thing that makes this movie so interesting and so beautiful to look at is the heavily researched and impressively animated backdrops that accompany all the action. So the gorgeous vignettes of Japan and in different time periods. Well worth a watch, I think, and I'm going to pick it up myself. So the other sale category was...
the other sale category. But I assume this was part of a hashtag women's sale.
Yeah.
And it's a movie starring, directed by, or with women as the main focus, and actually also TV. So I poked through. There was a number of things, actually things that I've highlighted before. There was a bunch of movies
I saw mermaids in there
that I've done before, but something did catch my eye. And it was called 20 Timeless Episodes of Designing Women. And I was never a Golden Girls fan, but I was a huge Designing Women fan.
Yeah.
And without a doubt, it was a show about female empowerment, politics, human rights, ethics, and big laughs, created by Linda Bloodworth Thomason. And interestingly enough, the main actors, Dixie Carter, Jean Smart, Annie Potts, and Delta Burke, never auditioned for their roles. They said Linda Bloodworth Thomason wrote them for the sitcom with them in mind, which was quite interesting. The show was almost canceled, but due to a huge letter writing campaign, it was saved, and it was one of the top-rated shows on CBS on Monday nights. Julia Sugarbaker, who was Dixie Carter, I think a lot of people know this, she was actually conservative to libertarian. Mm-hmm. So even though she played this very liberal character, I did not realize this. This is one of the facts. They said whenever her character was given one of her liberal red meat speeches that she didn't agree with, she got to sing a song in the following episode. So remember she used to do songs?
Yeah.
So I was laughing because I thought I should look back at the episode before.
Figure out which the speech.
What was this speech she had to give that she didn't agree with? And then, okay, you can sing a song this week. And then Anthony Bouvier, I remember Meshach Tyler, Black Man. He was just supposed to be off, a one-off, just came on for one show. They said he had such chemistry was written into the show. But you can get it at deep discount. It's under $10. It's a DVD, two DVDs for $9.29.
What an interesting curation, right?
I'm curious about it because 20 timeless episodes, and they did stuff way before.
Tackled, yeah.
There was...
They tackled AIDS.
AIDS was the big one. Yep. Remember, they were going to plan the funeral. Then there was also domestic violence.
Yep.
And all kinds of issues that I think for their time were way ahead. And I just remember it was must-see or must-watch TV.
I used to laugh out loud watching Designing Women. Its humor clicked into...
I don't know if it's held up. I once in a while you can see it on some of the shows. I don't know if it's held up as well, but it's...
I wonder if that's the same with like a Murphy Brown. Some of the humor was so topical. Yeah, they're doing a reboot.
Now this next one here, you love this book, didn't you?
Well, okay, so the release this week is a movie that I have been waiting to see for quite a while. It's called Ready Player One, directed by Steven Spielberg, and it's based on a science fiction novel of the same name by Ernest Cline.
We had him on the show, didn't we?
No.
We didn't have this guy on?
I don't think so, no.
Many years ago?
We were supposed to, actually. But you have a very good memory. He was doing a book tour for his second book called Armada.
Okay.
And we were passed over for some reason. But I remember because you said you're going to love it. So Ready Player One was a huge hit in the science fiction, and it even carried over into a lot of people who don't normally like the genre because it heavily references video games from the 80s. That we all grew up with, right. Frogger, Defender. I mean, the book is littered with little Easter eggs of pop culture from that time period. And the plot of the movie is that it's a dystopic future. The year's 2045. The world's on the brink of like some kind of crisis, as always. And most people spend their time in the virtual reality world of the Oasis, which was created by a man named James Halliday. Halliday dies, and he leaves his immense fortune to the only gamer who could figure out how to get through the Oasis.
You're not a gamer.
No, but everything that they mentioned in the book made sense. We grew up with Pong.
Yeah.
We grew up with the people who had the Atari consoles, the whole
I'm curious about it. I don't know how long I'd watch.
I'm dying to see it because I know it's littered with a lot of visual references. A good friend of the show's, Will, called me one day after he saw the movie.
He saw it already?
Yeah, and he said to me, he goes, "You love the book?" I said, "I love the book." And he said, "You'll like the movie, but it's not the same as the book." And that's this.
Well, it never is it?
It's one of those things about making a movie as dense as this. This thing was littered with. I remember when they announced the movie, I'm like, how are they going to ever make this? It's filled with stuff.
So there's two sales going on right now. We have the Comic-Con sale, which John recommended 5 centimeters per second on Blu-ray. And on the women's sale, I recommended 20 timeless episodes from Designing Women. And the new release was Ready Player One. If you go to focusgroupradio.com, click on the deep discount logo and start shopping away. There's lots to see and lots to find there. Right, Garrett?
Thanks, Deep Discount.
So it's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Brian Roman, president of Admark360, is going to join us with the LGBT Business Spotlight. We had 2 females this go-round. So 2 female companies we're going to highlight. Both are members of the NGLCC, which I asked Brian about earlier. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett, focusgroupradio.com. And that was Tim doing Terracitana.
I love her.
I don't try anything. I just do it.
Do a whole Deep Discount should do a whole Terracitana sale.
Big-titted go-go girl that goes on a killing rampage in a little car. And black and white. That movie is that was... Hey, we got Brian Rowan with us from Admark360, and we're going to be doing the LGBT Business Spotlight. And Brian always brings very cool companies to our attention. I will tell you from looking at the notes and from looking what Brian did, I think we're going to be very pleased with who you've brought in today. So give us some background.
Okay, for the first one, well, actually, first I wanted to hand you guys a little gift from
Let's see how I look in a hat. I should look great in a hat because I don't have hair.
I don't put these hats on.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah, there we go.
You got to tighten it up, Tim.
It's too small for me.
You got the guys in the booth.
Wait, I'm making mine tighter, and he's like, he goes, they're too small for me. I like my hat.
I don't know how I look.
Look. I could actually pass his
John,
looks.
John, it matches your shirt. You could pass for straight? I don't know. How does mine look? Yours looks good, Tim.
He picked that one up right away.
Oh, you think you had it kind of a little askew.
Look.
All you need is a little feather. You look like a rap artist, John. There you go. That looks good on you that way. Doesn't that way you look good? You look like you're 25.
Ooh, okay.
Put it on.
That's going to start.
I will say, I think Brian's. You're the first guest who's worn yellow on the set.
Oh. It doesn't.
No,
looks good.
Great. It looks great.
I often wondered how yellow would look, but I think you're the first.
This is how it looks.
Time machine hat makes me look 25 years young.
That's glue it to his head.
All right.
All right. First, so the first person we have on, it's like the perfect timing because all the companies are now talking about this. It's diversity and inclusion, and she is an expert on this topic. She has a great story about how she got into it because she came from a very different field. And her name is Simma Lieberman. And let's bring her on. She's going to be on here.
Simma, S-I-M-M-A.
Yes.
Simma.
Hey, welcome, Simma.
Hi, nice to be here.
So tell us about your company and your background.
Well, what we do is we help create inclusive cultures that last. We work with leaders to create inclusive cultures that last because inclusion is a process, not just a one-time event. And I've been in this field for about 27 years, but I actually started even before that. I started out years ago helping to create dialogues amongst people who were different, from different cultures, different races, different backgrounds, sexual orientation. And then I ended up doing it professionally. But my background, I got my master's degree actually in holistic health.
Yeah.
And I used to teach resilience, stress management, and then moved into doing diversity and inclusion as a professional.
Wow. So do you, this is Tim. Thanks for joining the show. I watched a few of your videos and you talked an awful lot about the importance of having conversations in the workplace and so forth. And I often wondered, is it difficult because as humans we're naturally tribal and we're going to hang out with people that are like us anyway, regardless of how hard the company tries to get us to all talk to each other? How do you overcome that?
Well, it's how you define people like us. That's people like to be around people like us.
Right.
When people don't know each other, or if they don't have a lot of experience with people who are different, then they instinctively think that somebody who looks like them is a person like us. But when you actually get to know people, you find out that perhaps somebody that looks really different than you is really a person just like you, and somebody who looks like you is nothing like you. But you won't know that until you actually talk with people. And one of my missions in life is to be able to get people talking. In fact, I have a podcast that we're just getting ready to launch. We've done several episodes already, and it's a cross-race conversation on race.
Yeah, Simma, I noticed that you're launching a podcast. It's called Race Convo, or is that the website, raceconvo.com?
Raceconvo.com. We're just waiting for the confirmation from iTunes, but we've done 6 episodes already. And actually, I had a show on somebody else's show last year, but she made it big. Now she's on CBS, and I decided I wanted to do my own. Well, I didn't know I wanted to do my own show. I did want to do my own show, but I didn't know I could. And so somebody said to me, well, I really believe in your show. You're sitting on a gold mine. You don't really need that much equipment, and I said, oh, well, I got to raise the money for the equipment. He said, well, I have money. I'm going to give it to you. So he bought my equipment for me, and then I was like, oh, okay, then I'm here, and I'm doing it.
You had to do it at that point.
Bought my equipment. I have a choice.
Simma, let me ask you, does every company that you meet with or every leader that you meet with have an issue with diversity, or are some companies really good at this and have a diverse workforce?
Well, it's not so much an issue. It's the people who are most successful, who do it for sustainability, are people who see the business case. They know that they want to be able to expand their market, and that in order to expand their market, they need to be able to relate to as many people as possible. And if you're all white and you want to have a market amongst people who are African American, Hispanic, people in different countries, and just like a white person who's like 65, you know that you need to have other people. Not just saying.
Yeah.
And you know that you need to have other people who can help you relate to a wider audience. Because also people want to do business with people who have reputations for being inclusive and who have people that look like them or they have something in common with. Especially like, you talk about LGBT as an L in the LGBTQ ABCD spectrum. I know especially early on in the early days, you wanted to do business with somebody who was welcoming to LGBTQ ABCD people.
Simma, that's actually a great point. I remember in my early business career, it was always a gratifying thing to give business to someone in our community because it was so coded. People were not always out. And when you did discover that a vendor might be LGBTQ or you were working with someone who was really great, let me ask you about, you've been in this space for so long. How does the arc of homophobia look to you? Are we still dealing with a lot of it? Your own personal history, you've had some bad run-ins with people who are not exactly accepting. So do you think we've made a big advance there, or are you still fighting some of the same battles?
Well, you did your research. If you even know that much about my background, it's really true. We are still fighting a battle, but it's different. It depends on where you live. I live in the Bay Area, and I've been single for a while, and I've been looking to meet somebody, and people said, well, can't you just go to the places where all like the LGBT people are? And I said, well, the good news is that in the Bay Area, we're much more integrated into society. But that's also the bad news because there's no particular place that we go to.
Right.
But
it's all over the country.
In the Bay Area, things are much better. But we can't be complacent because there are companies and people in companies who are still very homophobic. And I had an experience when I was pregnant with my son, who's now 24. I was working in a company that was doing diversity, and they found that, and the woman who had hired me, after a while, she was quizzing me, well, you're married, what's the situation, blah, 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 blah. She figured out, I guess she surmised somehow, one, that I wasn't married to a man, because gay marriage wasn't legal then. And she also figured out that I was a lesbian. And the next thing I knew, she no longer needed my services. Now, I couldn't pinpoint anything, but later on, somebody said, well, Catherine actually was very religious. So, he told me what had happened. And at the time, it wasn't illegal. But when I first started in my business, I first thought that in diversity, I thought, well, I can finally be myself. I can really be who I am and be comfortable. But what I didn't know, and which I quickly found out, that at that time, LGBT people were not considered some people felt that we didn't have a place at the diversity table. Now that's changed, because one of the most homophobic people that I knew that many years ago, I guess it's been about 27 years ago, who I had been at a conference he'd put on, and somebody made a gay joke, and everybody laughed except for me and 4 other people. And then years later, this guy is one of the strongest allies that we have.
Wow.
So people can change. And it turned out because his mentor, who was the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, came out. And then he had to think about, well, do I abandon my mentor or do I change how I think? And he started changing how he thought. And then it turned out that he had some gay people in his family, too. So he's like a big proponent of gay marriage now.
Wow. So do you keep yourself busy then still working with companies? And it's said in your bio that you're doing more startup and more small to medium-sized companies now versus some of the large corporations?
Yes, I mean, I take business from any size company, and I have my older clients who are bigger companies, but the companies that I'm going after right now are smaller companies because I feel like I'd have more of an impact, and it's easier for me to reach a lot of the people at the highest level.
Great. Well, let us. We want to thank you for joining us here today. We have a graphic if you're watching on the video feed of your LinkedIn address, your Facebook address, your Twitter address. Do you have a website where you want to direct people to if they want to learn more about you and your company?
Yes. Go to simmalieberman.com.
Simma Lieberman.
So can you spell it for us?
Yes. SIMMALIEBERMAN.com.
Perfect.
And I also do want to say, too, that an issue for everybody is that when you talk about diversity and inclusion, it's more than just one issue. So oftentimes people say, oh, we're really diverse because we have a lot of the LGBT. I said, well, it's more than just that. It's all to everybody. And within the LGBT community, everybody's not a white guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing against white guys.
You're talking to 3.5.
But it's all of us.
No, you're exactly right. And there's it's come in all different shapes, sizes, ages, and colors. So we appreciate you joining us today. Thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thank you, Simma.
Well, thank you.
I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Great. All right.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So, Brian, so we're going to take a quick break, but who's next? Who do we have coming up next?
Laura Spaulding-Koppel, and she has the company called Spaulding Decon.
So. And what does Spaulding Decon do? Just so that people can hold.
Yes.
We call that a tease.
By the way, this is,
she cleans up crime scenes and hoarding situations.
Crime scenes and hoarding situations.
And all those things that we don't want to clean up.
I understand she's added meth labs.
Oh, and meth labs, yes.
Yes.
So
stay with us. We've got Laura Spaulding-Koppel joining us and to talk to us about her business, Spaulding Decon, after this quick break. It's the Admark360 LGBT Business Spotlight on the Focus Group.
There you go.
Brought to you by Volkswagen. Visit VW.com to learn more. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with the Focus Group.
Been in business a week. I got more money and I know what to do with.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
Herrera Rocher. He is doing well.
Welcome back to the Focus Group. John Nash with Tim Bennett. FocusGroupRadio.com is all the information for our show, or that's where it resides, I should say. Sitting with us is Brian Rowan from Admark360, and we are now entering the second interview of our Admark360 LGBT Business Spotlight, only on the Focus Group.
Yes.
Only on the Focus Group. It's a lot of verbiage, but we got it.
A lot of hashtag.
We're making it happen. So, as Tim teased before the break, our next guest has a very fascinating company, and when I started to see the pictures of what they do, I'm like, wow, this is a business that we all know goes on, but none of us really,
Well, we never know how it gets all.
So why don't you introduce who are...
Okay. Well, the person here is Laura Spaulding-Koppel. She started Spaulding Decon in 2005, and it's been going really well. She's now franchising out, and you have opportunity, everybody. So she'll talk about that a little bit. And let's just get her on and let her start up. She has a great history. She was a police officer, and now she started Spaulding Decon. There she is. Hi, Laura.
Hi. How you doing?
Good.
Very good. Thanks for joining us, Laura. So what a fascinating business you're in. I went to the site and I looked at some of the pictures you have on Facebook, and I was scrolling through, and I'm like, I'll just use this an acronym of the times. OMG, the stuff that you've gone into to clean or remove the hazardous waste or whatever is amazing. So tell us about the company.
Thank you. Yeah, so I started it 13 years ago now. I was 7 years in law enforcement. I was working in the Midwest, undercover narcotics and vice, and just really kind of just disenchanted with the job going really nowhere, the really low pay. And I just saw an opportunity here for cleanup when it really wasn't being met at that time. So I started to investigate it a little more and see, who's cleaning up after these crime scenes or these suicides or accidents. And I realized that mostly these homeowners are on their own, which I thought was just horrible. After something like that happened, the worst thing you can do is have to clean it up yourself. And I thought, well, obviously I'm very used to being around these scenes, and it just didn't bother me at all. So I thought, I'm going to get some training and certification, and I'm going to see where this goes. And I had no idea that it would turn into the animal that it has.
Have you ever been scared going into, this is Tim, Laura, thanks for joining us. Have you ever been scared going into a particular scene?
No, I haven't. And
is that because of your law enforcement background?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, 7 years I was exposed to pretty much, I say I've probably seen it all. I probably have. And, there's really little that surprises me at this point.
Wow.
So, Laura, one of the things that I'm fascinated by, and I think you kind of touched on this when you were talking about your 7 years in law enforcement, is I wrote down after I read some of the notes about your company and some of the stuff that you've been engaged in. I mean, when you hire people to work with you, what level of sensitivity training do they require to be very neutral? Like, let's say you're going to, in fact, you tackle hoarding, you clean up some people that have hoarding problems. And those are issues where you're not going to walk in and wag a finger and say, how'd you ever let it get like this? You're going to be there to clean it up and to just help the people move on. But I'm assuming that you have to be very careful in who you hire to represent you and to do this work as well because of this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, our best hires have always been former military or firemen. Wow. They really have been exposed to the industry. They do this on a daily basis. Firemen only work about 9 days a month, so they're always looking for second and third jobs. Mm-hmm. And this stuff, again, doesn't bother them. They're, jaded, if you will, to the environment, and they just make a really great hire for us.
So you can't go in there like, oh my gosh. So I think that's where John was going with that. What I found, not knowing anything about this business, and I don't think you did either when you started it, but how do you find out, what takes blood out of carpeting? I mean,
it's not Ivory soap. It's not Ivory soap.
Did you work with other companies to learn this business, or was it all you learned on the fly?
I went to 13 years ago. I went to a company that's no longer in business, but they were providing training for this in Dallas, Texas, and he kind of gave me really the training that I needed and showed me the chemicals that were used in the industry. And that was many years ago. We've evolved from then, and now we do. We have a really big construction component as well. So we're removing, drywall and subfloor, and we're replacing it all. And, the business just started out being, biohazard and crime scene related. And, now we're taking on drug labs and mold remediation and hoarding. And now we're even buying distressed real estate from these people because they just either can't afford to pay us to clean it up, or they just don't want to live in the memory of what happened.
Right, right.
So, Laura, in the case of cleaning up a drug like a meth lab or like a house that was used for growing like a grow house or something, are those very different kind of scenarios than a hoarding thing or a crime scene? Because basically someone was using the facility or the building as a business thing, so it's a different kind of a cleanup thing, right?
It is. It's drastically different. When you think about it, just to put it in simplistic terms, when you're decontaminating a meth lab or a home that was used to manufacture meth, you're cleaning something that's invisible to the naked eye. So it's essential that you're just thorough and you have extreme attention to detail. And then, we bring in a third party scientist or industrial hygienist to come in and test our work after the fact. So it's a very precise type cleanup. Whereas, when you're doing, say, a suicide cleanup, for example, that's very visual. You know exactly what you're cleaning up. You know if you miss something, you know where you have to clean and where the environment is. Mm-hmm. Meth is a whole different ballgame. It's extremely difficult to clean.
Wow. Hey, Laura, how are you finding, hate to say it, but new business? I mean, how are you marketing this?
It's a fair question. It's a fair question.
I mean, there's got to be some ideas.
Yeah, that's a fair question. One of the beautiful things about my industry is it's recession proof. So no matter how bad the economy or how great it is, our business really is steady Eddie. We don't miss a beat at all. So we get a good percentage of our business from online, our website, and we get about the other 50% is probably from national vendor accounts and just becoming vendors with these entities.
So you're based in the company's headquartered in Florida?
Yes, sir, Tampa, Florida.
And so you started. When did you start franchising this?
Only about 2.5 years ago now, and we have 13 locations at this point, and our goal is to add 20 to 30 locations per year here for the next 5 years.
And so you have protected territories just like you would any other franchise agreement sort of thing, and training?
Exactly.
And what would it cost if somebody was interested in getting a franchise? Is there a one flat fee and a percentage goes to you, or how do you set up the business relationship?
Yeah, it's all franchises are composed of territory fees. Ours is $45,000 territory fee, and you own a population of 500,000 people, and we'd like for you to pick in metro areas. And then there's equipment fees and things like that, but those are one time. So the entire startup package is $132,000, which really brings us in a low cost franchise option. And then we have an 8% royalty model.
Does that include the training as well, or
that's
is
going to
that
be my question? Yeah,
something additional?
Yeah, that includes training, and then you get assigned a franchise coach for the life of your contract. So it's a 10-year franchise contract, and we have coaches that are assigned to you. And I'll tell you, that's what makes a franchise great is the support and the coaching, and these people are helping you maximize your margins and teach you operational, HR, bookkeeping, everything that you need to know to run a successful business. Because you got to remember, a lot of people that come to us have never had a business background.
Yeah. So a franchise coach would also talk the franchise owner through things that from doing this for many years, AKA you might want to have 3 or 4 permanent employees, but you want to grow a pool of people that can be called upon to come in at any given time. And you actually have that kind of knowledge to give to someone who's going to set up a franchise, correct?
We do, yeah. So we teach them kind of how they need to staff their company, but we get much more granular in it too. So, when it comes to estimating and building proposals for RFPs or larger entities, we get much more granular in it, and we try to structure it so that the person knows and learns how to formulate these proposals and win these government contracts or county or whatever contracts, and then they can take that knowledge and just replicate it over and over and over.
Do you have a lot of competitors?
No.
I wondered because we were all talking before, and we've all had issues whether someone had mold in their house or we knew someone was a hoarder.
Something as simple as that.
You were always, and I remember we were talking over lunch, the three of us, about how you find somebody to come actually do this for you.
Yeah.
And I'd never really heard of anyone that has, as you hope to have, a national presence. And congratulations, by the way. We saw, I think one of the slides, you were recognized at the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce.
I was. I won the business pitch competition, and that was the year that I was actually formulating the franchise. And I went up against a couple of other competitors in a Shark Tank-like proposal there. And my pitch was hey, I want to franchise my crime scene cleanup business. And needless to say, I got the same reaction that you did. But at the end of the day, I think they saw that the business was replicable, and I used that money to help me in the franchise process.
That's great.
That's pretty amazing. Now I'm going to go totally off script here for a second and say the following: given everything that you've seen in your very fascinating career, I suspect that you live in a very super neat and tidy home. There's nothing out of place. There's like no extra books or magazines. It's just like the furniture, the TV, every shirt has a place, every hanger has its thing. I just have this suspicion.
Yeah, you're correct. I do practice what I preach. I practice what I preach, but it's one of those things that if I'm going to teach it, I need to live by it. Yeah. So we help hoarders, we downsize, and a lot of them are collecting, like you said, magazines and newspapers and books, and it's my job to kind of say, hey, here's a Kindle. Let's move to the Kindle.
So are you? This might be too personal of a question. Are you married?
I am.
So that's the Koppel. So is your wife, is she involved in the business?
No, she's a teacher.
Okay.
She's staying out of this.
So that's a happy household because there's two separate stories coming to the dinner table at night. How was your day, honey? Oh, it was a roach remediation. How was yours? The kids had a history test.
But they could equally be horrible.
They could,
could you tell, this might be an unfair question, could you tell us one of the worst situations you've gone into?
The dog poop house.
Oh, boy.
That dog poop picture was disgusting. What was that? We saw a picture on here of this dog.
It's I hate to say this, but I think those bother me the most, the ones with animals. I'm a big animal lover. I'm a big proponent of rescues, and I donate my time and money to these. Those really, really bother me. And during the foreclosure crisis, those 5-6 years, we had an enormous amount of properties that were just abandoned, and they left their animals inside to just die. Yeah. And it was just, that part just really, really bothers me. And, most people would assume that it's, the suicides or the unattended deaths. But for some reason, that just really...
Well, the animals are so helpless, and that's what's so sad about it. I actually rescued a dog for that same... I got a dog that's a puggle from a situation like that was left at an apartment.
People should know better.
Take your dog to the
if you're going to have an animal, you're their friend, you're their caretaker. You don't just we see it all the time. You just used a law enforcement term I've heard only once before, and that's the unattended death. That's when someone just like dies at home, and maybe we call it the millionaire's death, where they go to sleep and they never wake up, which is how I hope to go, but because then you just go to sleep.
We're going to call Spaulding Decon to come
take you away.
Yeah, because you don't answer your phone, so nobody will find you till you're just a rotted corpse. I'm going to call Laura to come get you.
Oh my! There's a dinner table conversation. Yeah.
Hey Laura, how can people find you?
Are we ready for lunch?
How can people find you and find your business and all that stuff? Do you have some website information you want to share with us? We have it on the graphic, but just so people could hear it.
Yeah, sure. We have two websites. One is the consumer site for services, and that's spauldingdecon.com. And then if you're interested in franchising, we still, since we're pretty new in franchising model, there's plenty of territories available, and you can find more information at spauldingdeconfranchise.com.
Wow. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Laura. This has been a really, really incredible conversation. It's an amazing business you've gone into, and I'm just
such a great idea. And I mean, as a
service
company,
and a real service.
Great job.
Yeah. The stuff that we never think about. How does that get done? Yeah. Well, guess what? There's a company that does it, and it's Spaulding Decon.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That was I think I would like to have a franchise. I can't go clean anymore.
First of all, would you not like to have a franchise because she's your franchise?
Well, no. Here's what I love. Here's what I love about
her.
But here's what I love about owning the franchise. If I could hire the right people.
There you go.
Because as she said, it's recession-proof.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
It's like having a funeral home. I don't want to be and embalm anybody. I don't want to be there, but somebody dies every day, right? So it's recession-proof. Yeah, so I think this Spaulding Decon.
I add that to our list because on the list we have a coin-operated laundromat.
Ideal. Pizza shop.
Pizza shop. Well, the IRS figured the pizza shop out, though. We heard that from one of our call
Princess.
screeners, the Afghani Princess. Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, Brian, nicely done. Thank you for bringing us both businesses. I love the fact that they're both lesbian-owned and operated. And there were just two polar opposites. A woman who specializes, her whole career specializes specializes in creating dialogue and fostering diversity. And then Laura, who began in law enforcement and then took a lot of that thought process and training and turned it into something really amazing. And soon, we're not going to be wearing Admark360. We'll be Spaulding Decon. Spaulding Decon.
The great thing is, our listeners over the years have always said they wanted us to highlight and showcase some of these LGBT-owned businesses. And so thank you, because we wouldn't have found those two on our own.
Yeah.
Nope. And so thank you, and thanks. I know
that's why it's the Admark360 LGBT.
Right, and you did it through
the
NGLCC, which you're a member of as well.
Yeah.
So
and they're a big. They have the convention in Philadelphia in August, in early August.
Also, for all of you who ask about our socks, and so others, you see these hats and other things. So Brian's got a very thriving promotional and marketing products business. So be sure to go to Admark360.com and check out everything Brian has. Do you have a Facebook site too?
I do.
You don't use it much.
It's Facebook at Admark360.com. Yeah.
Just got to contact Brian.
Just
or John's got a hat. He's doing the hat. Yeah. Nice swipe. Nice sweep. Admark360.
So thank you, Brian, for coming in.
Brian.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John and Garrett. Thank you to our Fort Worth fan
for our
who sent
Oreos.
us the Oreos. Thanks to our friends at Deep Discount. Be sure to go to focusgroupradio.com and click on the Deep Discount logo and start shopping away for all their sales. And also a big thanks to our friends at Volkswagen of America. Go to VW.com to learn about all the great cars John's wagging his finger.
Because you just told me about a super cool deal on the Tiguan.
There's a great deal going on right now on the Tiguan, which I've wanted the Tiguan, the new one, because of the size enhancement for a while. And I said to John, there's a great lease program going on right now in the Tiguan. And the Atlas also won, if you're looking for a car a tad bigger, the Atlas just won Best 3-Row SUV from Cars.com as well. So Volkswagen seems to be running on all cylinders, as they say.
Firing on all
cylinders. So thanks for joining us, and we hope everyone's having a great summer, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Arrive alive. Don't text and drive.
Don't text and drive. Arrive alive. Thank you, Garrett. You know, we should just give that to Garrett to do.
No, he doesn't want it.
He doesn't want it?
He wants us to do it. He wants us to do it right.
It's the Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Formerly on Sirius XM Satellite Radio and now accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.